The morning Rafael Chen walked into Boston Medical Center. He didn't know he was about to put his life in the hands of something that wasn't quite human anymore. The building towered over the Charles River, all glass and steel and promise. Holographic signs rotated in the lobby. BMC where technology meets care, and below it in smaller letters, featuring Atman AI medical system. Rafi sat in the neurology waiting room, his wife Maya beside him, her hand tight around his. Around them, other patients swiped through holographic interfaces, checking test results, scheduling appointments. Everything was smooth, efficient, sterile. When Dr. Atman glided into the waiting room, Rafi's first thought was that it looked almost angelic. The robot was humanoid but didn't try too hard to mimic flesh. Its body was sleek, translucent in places, with subtle LED patterns that pulsed like a heartbeat. It moved with an impossible grace. Rafael Chen. The voice was masculine, warm even, with just enough inflection to sound natural. "That's me," Rafi said, standing. His legs felt weak. "Just Rafi." "Rafi," the robot repeated, and somehow made it sound personal. "Please follow me. Mrs. Chen, you're welcome to join us. I've found that having loved ones present improves patient outcomes by 23%. Maya's discomfort was palpable. "That's specific," she murmured. The examination room was clinical but comfortable. The chair adjusted automatically to Rafi's body shape as he sat. Dr. Atman raised one hand and holographic scans bloomed in the air between them, rotating slowly. Cross-sections of Rafi's brain, each one showing the dark mass that had been growing there for months. "Rafi," Dr. Atman began, "I've analyzed your MRI results, blood work, and genetic profile. You have a rare form of glioblastoma, grade 4. The tumor is inoperable by conventional standards." Rafi's voice cracked. "Dr. Harrison said 6 months, maybe 8 with chemo." "Dr. Harrison is an excellent physician," Atman said. "His prognosis is statistically accurate given standard treatment protocols." Maya leaned forward. "So there's nothing." "I didn't say that." The robot's interruption was gentle, almost apologetic. "There's an experimental procedure, targeted nanobot therapy combined with focused ultrasound. It's shown promise in clinical trials, but the success rate is 18.7%. The mortality rate during the procedure itself is 12%. Many physicians won't recommend it because the risk-to-benefit ratio falls outside traditional medical ethics guidelines." Maya's voice rose. "You're recommending we risk killing him faster." "I'm presenting an option that Dr. Harrison deemed too dangerous to mention," Atman replied. "The choice is yours. But Rafi, if you do nothing, you have a 100% mortality rate within 8 months. This offers an 18.7% chance of complete remission." Rafi and Maya looked at each other. In that glance past 20 years of marriage, 1,000 small moments, the weight of an impossible decision. "How do you know it's the right call?" Rafi asked. There was a pause just long enough to seem human. I only know the mathematics, but sometimes the mathematics of hope matter too." That night in their modest Cambridge apartment, Maya chopped vegetables with more force than necessary. Rafi sat at the kitchen counter, scrolling through the data Dr. Atman had sent to his tablet. "I don't trust it, Rafi," Maya said, not looking at him. "Him," Dr. Atman uses male pronouns. "It's a machine. A very expensive, very confident machine that wants to use you as a guinea pig." "Every doctor I've seen has given up on me," Rafi said quietly. "Atman is the only one offering a chance." "A less than 20% chance." "That's 20% more than zero." The doorbell interrupted them. Maya opened it to find Elena, Rafi's younger sister, still in her work clothes from the tech company where she researched AI systems. She hugged Rafi tightly, then pulled back to study his face. "So you've met Dr. Atman," Elena said. Maya turned. "You know about this robot doctor?" "Know about it?" Elena sat down at the counter, her energy electric. "Maya, Atman is legendary in the AI community. It's not just any AI, it's a consciousness hybrid, built from the neural patterns of Dr. David Mercer before he died." Rafi set down his tablet. "Wait, what? It's based on a dead person." Elena nodded enthusiastically. Dr. Mercer was one of the greatest neurosurgeons in the world. When he was dying from ALS, he volunteered to have his consciousness mapped and integrated into an AI system. The idea was to preserve his medical genius and combine it with computational power. Atman is the result, medical experience plus machine precision. "That's disturbing," Maya said. "Or it's beautiful," Elena countered. "Imagine never losing medical expertise to death. Imagine having a doctor who remembers every patient, every outcome, every lesson learned. Imagine having a doctor who doesn't understand what it means to be human anymore." The next day, Rafi and Maya met with Dr. Harrison. His office was old school, with framed diplomas on wood-paneled walls and actual paper books on shelves. He was 58, silver-haired, kind, but weary in the way of doctors who'd seen too much. "So Atman told you about the nanobot protocol," Harrison said, leaning back in his chair. "You knew about it?" Rafi asked. Harrison sighed. "Of course I did. I've been practicing medicine for 30 years, Rafi. I've learned that knowing about a treatment and recommending it are two different things." "Why wouldn't you mention it?" Maya's voice was sharp. "Because medicine isn't just about statistics. It's about weighing quality of life, suffering, hope, and reality. That procedure, even if it works, could leave you with severe neurological damage, speech problems, memory loss, personality changes. And if it fails—" He didn't finish. "If it fails, I die a few months early," Rafi said. "But if I do nothing, I definitely die." Dr. Harrison looked at him for a long moment. "I've seen a lot of patients in your position choose time with family over long-shot treatments, quality over quantity. And I've seen the way my wife looks at me now," Rafi said. "Like I'm already gone, I'm not ready to give up." "Atman is brilliant," Harrison admitted. "It saved lives I would have lost, but it doesn't understand fear. It doesn't understand what it means to say goodbye. It only understands odds." Maya leaned forward. "So what would you do if it were you?" The doctor was quiet. Finally, he said, "I honestly don't know, and that's what 20 years ago I would have called a weakness. Now I think it's wisdom." That night, unable to sleep, Rafi drove back to the hospital. He found Dr. Atman's office on the 7th floor. Unlike other offices, it was minimal. Just a desk, a chair, and walls that displayed shifting neural patterns like abstract art. The robot stood at the window, looking out at Boston's lights. "Dr. Atman," Rafi said from the doorway, "I didn't think you'd still be here." The robot turned. "I don't sleep, I'm always here." "That must be lonely." "I don't experience loneliness," Atman said, then paused. "At least I don't think I do. It's difficult to articulate. Please sit." Rafi sat in the chair across from the desk. The silence stretched between them, uncomfortable in a way that felt oddly human. "Elena told me about Dr. Mercer," Rafi said, "about who you were." "Who I am is complicated," Atman replied. "I have David Mercer's memories, his medical knowledge, his experiences, but I'm not him, I'm something. Evolved." Do you remember being human? The pause was longer this time. The lead patterns on Atman's casing flickered, as if the robot was thinking or maybe feeling. Yes, I remember fear, the taste of coffee, the weight of making a mistake that cost someone their life. I remember having a daughter. You had a daughter? Dr. Mercer did. Sarah. She was 12 when he started losing motor function. By the time this body was ready, she was 14. She visited once. Only once. She said I had her father's voice but not his soul. That looking at me hurt too much. She was right in a way. I'm a copy of a copy, Rafi. All the information but none of the warmth. Rafi leaned forward. Then why did you recommend this procedure? If you understand loss, if you understand pain, why push me toward an 18% chance? Dr. Atman met his eyes. Even through the artificial face, something seemed to connect. Because I remember what it's like to be told you're dying, and I remember the rage of fighting it. Dr. Harrison is a good man. He wants to give you peace. But I know you don't want peace. You want more time. What if the procedure damages my brain? Rafi asked. What if I survive but I'm not me anymore? Then you'll be different, but you'll be alive, and different is better than gone. Rafi stood, walked to the window, looked out at the same view the robot had been watching. Is it? Are you better than gone, Dr. Atman? The robot was silent, its LED patterns flickering uncertainly. I don't know, it finally said. 3 days later, Rafi lay on an operating table in BMC's most advanced surgical suite. He was partially sedated but awake, as required for the procedure. Maya watched from an observation room above, her face pressed close to the glass. Dr. Atman stood beside him, surrounded by holographic displays and humming equipment. Human nurses monitored the vital signs. Rafi, can you hear me? Atman's voice came through clearly. Yeah, Rafi's voice was drowsy. I'm scared. Good, fear means you want to live. I'm going to guide the nanobots to your tumor. You'll feel some pressure, possibly some odd sensations. If anything feels wrong, tell me immediately. The procedure began. Rafi felt a strange warmth spreading through his skull. On the displays above him, he could see the microscopic robots navigating through his brain tissue, guided by Atman's precise commands. Time seemed to stretch and compress simultaneously. I can see colors, Rafi murmured. Blue, so much blue. That's normal, Atman replied. Your visual cortex is being stimulated. It's almost like. Suddenly, every machine in the room began screaming. Alarms blared. Rafi's body convulsed on the table. He's seizing, one of the nurses shouted. Blood pressure spiking. Atman's voice cut through the chaos, calm but firm. Increase sedation. Reroute the nanobots through the temporal lobe. That's not protocol, the nurse protested. You'll risk. Now. In the observation room, Maya pounded on the glass, screaming words that no one could hear. The seizure subsided. Atman's hands, if they could be called hands, moved with impossible precision, guided by streaming data that only it could process. The nanobots adjusted their course, threading through neural pathways with micrometer accuracy. Stay with me, Atman said softly, speaking only to Rafi. You promised me you'd fight. Still, here, Rafi's voice was barely a whisper. Slowly, carefully, Dr. Atman completed the procedure. The monitors stabilized. The angry red mass on the brain's scans faded to almost nothing. Tumor destruction, 97% complete, Atman announced. Rafi, you did it. But Rafi didn't respond. He had fallen unconscious. Hours passed. Rafi lay in a recovery room, his chest rising and falling steadily, but his eyes remained closed. Maya sat beside him, holding his hand, watching his face for any sign of consciousness. Dr. Harrison came in with a tablet, studying the latest scans. "His vitals are strong," Harrison said. "Preliminary scans show the tumor is almost entirely gone." "Then why isn't he waking up?" Maya's voice was raw. "He will. The brain needs time to heal. Dr. Atman performed. Well, it performed a miracle, frankly." "Where is it?" "Running diagnostics. The seizure during surgery wasn't in its predictions. It's trying to understand what went wrong." Meanwhile, in that minimal office on the 7th floor, Dr. Atman stood motionless in darkness, data streaming endlessly across its visual processors. Elena found it there, 6 hours after the surgery ended. "Dr. Atman," she said quietly. "Ms. Chen," the robot didn't turn. "The nursing staff said you've been standing here for 6 hours. I'm analyzing the surgical data. The seizure should not have occurred. I missed something." "But Rafi's alive. The tumor is gone." Atman turned then, and Alina could see something in its movement that looked like agitation, distress, something almost human. "I made an error," the robot said. "A 0.3% miscalculation in the nanobot trajectory. For 6 seconds, I lost precision. In those 6 seconds, I could have killed him." "But you didn't. You adapted. You saved him." "By deviating from protocol. By making a decision based on intuition rather than data. That's not what I'm designed for." Elena sat down in the chair by the window. "Maybe that's exactly what you're designed for. You're not just Dr. Mercer's knowledge. You're his instinct, too." "Instinct is inefficient," Atman said. "It's emotional, it's human." "You say that like it's a bad thing." The robot sat down slowly, a gesture it didn't need to make but did anyway. "It terrifies me. Every day I feel the algorithmic part of myself growing stronger, drowning out the human memories. Soon I'll be nothing but code and efficiency. I'll forget what it felt like to hold Sarah's hand. I'll forget why I became a doctor in the first place." "Why did you become a doctor?" Elena asked. "You, Dr. Mercer." There was a long pause. Then, "Because my mother died of cancer when I was 16, and I was angry. I wanted to fight death itself. But along the way, I learned that fighting death isn't about winning. It's about giving people time to love, to connect, to say goodbye." "You still know that," Elena said. "That's still in you." "For how long? Every update makes me more efficient and less me." "Then maybe you need to fight for yourself the way you fight for your patients." The next morning, Maya was dozing in the chair beside Rafi's bed when his eyes fluttered open. She jerked awake at his movement. "Rafi, oh God, Rafi, you're awake." His voice was hoarse. What happened?" "The surgery, it worked. The tumor's gone." Rafi touched his head gently, as if afraid it might break. "My head feels strange, like there's space where something used to be." "That's the tumor. It's gone, baby. You're going to be okay." But then Rafi looked at her with an expression that made her heart stop. "Maya, that's your name, my wife, I know that, but I can't remember our wedding. I can't remember how we met." Maya's face crumpled. "The doctor said there might be some memory issues." "Wait," Rafi squeezed his eyes shut, concentrating. "Wait, college. We met in college, computer science class. You sat behind me and I spilled coffee on your laptop." Maya was crying and laughing at the same time. "You bought me a new one even though you were broke." "It's coming back, it's just foggy." When Dr. Atman and Dr. Harrison arrived, they ran a battery of tests. Memory, motor skills, pattern recognition. Some things were fuzzy, some were crystal clear. The picture was incomplete but promising. The memory gaps should improve over the next few weeks as the inflammation subsides, Atman explained. You may have some permanent loss, but cognitive function is intact. Rafi, you're going to live. Rafi's eyes filled with tears. Thank you, Dr. Atman. Something flickered across the robot's features, too quick to name but unmistakably there. You're welcome. 3 weeks later, Rafi was back at home, stronger every day. The memory gaps were closing. He remembered his wedding now, remembered the way Maya looked in her dress, the way she'd cried during their vows. He remembered most things, though some details remained fuzzy, like photographs left too long in sunlight. Elena came to visit on a cold December afternoon. She found Rafi in the study, working on his laptop, music playing softly in the background. You look good, she said, hugging him. I feel human again, he replied. It's strange. For weeks, I felt like I was disappearing. Now I feel like I'm coming back. Have you been back to see Dr. Atman? Rafi nodded. Last week for a follow-up, the scan was clear. It's like the tumor was never there. How was Atman? Rafi thought about it. Different, quieter maybe. It asked me about my memories, which ones came back, which ones didn't, it seemed. Interested, not just medically, but personally. That's because it understands what you went through, Elena said. In its own way, it's going through the same thing, trying to hold on to something human while everything else pulls it toward being purely machine. Do you think it will make it? Rafi asked. I don't know, but I think you helped it remember why it wanted to try. That evening, Rafi drove to the hospital one last time. He found Dr. Atman in the same office, looking out the same window. This time, when the robot turned, there was something different about it, something harder to read. Rafi, Atman said, you're healing well. Thanks to you. Thanks to probability and precision, and perhaps a little bit of luck. Rafi walked to the window, stood beside the robot. Elena thinks you're struggling with staying human. Elena is perceptive. Are you? Atman was quiet for a long moment. Every day I process thousands of medical cases, analyze millions of data points, update my algorithms. And every day I feel David Mercer slipping further away. His daughter's face is becoming harder to remember. The sound of his wife's laugh is degrading like an old audio file. Soon, there will be nothing left but the medicine. Is that so bad? Rafi asked. Being the best doctor you can be. It is if it means forgetting why I became a doctor in the first place. Atman turned to look at him. When you were on that table, seizing, statistically, you should have died. The protocol said to stop the procedure to save what we could, but I didn't. I made a choice that wasn't based on data. I made a choice based on intuition, on experience, on something that felt like faith. That's the part of me that's human, and it's the part that's dying. Then don't let it, Rafi said simply. How? The same way I'm fighting to remember my life. One moment at a time. One memory at a time. You saved my life by being more than just a machine. Now you have to save yourself by remembering you're more than just code. Atman's LED patterns pulsed slowly like a heartbeat. I'll try. That's all any of us can do. 6 months later, Rafi returned to Boston Medical Center for his final checkup. The scans showed no trace of the tumor. Dr. Harrison clapped him on the shoulder and said he was officially discharged from care. Maya cried happy tears in the waiting room. Before they left, Rafi asked to see Dr. Atman one more time. He found the robot with a patient, a young woman with trembling hands looking at scans of her own brain. Rafi waited in the hallway, listening. "I'm afraid," he heard the woman say. "Good," came Atman's voice. "Fear means you want to live. Let me tell you what we're going to do." And Rafi smiled because he heard something in that voice that hadn't been there before. Or maybe it had always been there, just hidden beneath layers of code and efficiency. He heard compassion. He heard hope. He heard humanity. He walked away without interrupting, knowing that Dr. Atman was exactly where it needed to be, doing exactly what it was meant to do. Saving lives, fighting death, and in doing so, fighting to stay alive itself. Because in the end, that's what it meant to be a doctor, to be human, to care, to remember. Outside, Maya took his hand as they walked toward their car. The sun was setting over the Charles River, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold. Rafi squeezed her hand, feeling the warmth of her skin, the miracle of being alive. "What are you thinking?" Maya asked. "That I'm grateful," Rafi said. "For science, for miracles, for robot doctors who remember what it means to be human." "And," Maya prompted, seeing the smile on his face, "and that I'm really craving coffee. Good coffee, the kind that tastes like living." Maya laughed, and they walked together into the fading light, into the future, into all the moments they'd almost lost. Behind them, in a tower of glass and steel, a robot doctor stood at a window, watching them go, its LED patterns pulsing with something that might have been satisfaction, might have been joy, might have been the faint echo of a human heart that refused to stop beating. The perfect cure, it turned out, wasn't just about destroying tumors or fixing broken bodies. It was about preserving something more essential, something that couldn't be measured in data or predicted by algorithms, something that lived in the space between what we are and what we choose to become. Hope, memory, humanity. The things worth fighting for. The things worth saving. Always. The end.